Hello and welcome to One Way Designs 238. Today is episode 1 of my Festive holiday series for 2021. If this is your first time here, I'd like to say welcome. I ask that you please stick around by subscribing, turning on your notification bell to all so that you don't miss anything. And if you're a returning subscriber, I'd like to say welcome back. So jumping right into today's project, I'm going to start off with 4 of these Dollar Tree Christmas trees. Now when you take these out of the package, they do come with a stand. You don't want to throw those away because we can definitely use those for something else. So what I'm going to do is first is at the bottom stem of these trees, they have this green thread that is holding all of the branches in place. I'm just going to take each of these stems and I'm going to put a bit of hot glue where the strings start, just so that they won't unravel, because that really gets on my nerves, for one, and number 2, you don't want anything falling apart. So the first 2 of my Christmas trees, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fluff these out on one side. And by one side, I mean the top portion is going to be nice and fluffed out and the bottom portion is going to be nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and adjoin the 2 of these trees together in 2 different spots. And to adjoin these, I'm going to use these cable ties, or some people call them zip ties. And I'm going to pull these nice and tight. I don't want to wire these and I don't want to glue them, because if you wanted to, you can always go back, unattach them, and use these for something else. So I'm going to go ahead and zip tie these together in 2 different places. And when I zip tie these together, the placement is going to be where the end of one stem meets in the middle of the top tree. So I have one tree on top of the other. Once those have been zip tied together, I'm going to set these aside and I'm going to take my other 2 Christmas trees. I'm going to fluff these out completely to one side. And again, to one side, that simply means one will be facing, where the branches will be facing to the left, and the branches will be facing to the right. After I have these all fluffed out, what I want to do is go ahead and bend these inward a little bit, just to give them a bit of a curvature feel. And what this is going to do is when we begin to put our door swag together, this is going to allow it not to just be sticking straight down, but to give it a little bit of movement and a little bit of texture. So once I have both of these pieces fluffed out to one side and bent, I'm just again going to bring in my cable ties and I'm going to attach these together. While I was placing these together, I noticed that on either side, either one of the trees was not in perfect placement, and that was totally fine by me, because when you look in nature, nothing is just perfect. It's perfect in its own way because that's how God made it, but you know, to our eyes, it just wouldn't be perfect, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So now that I've gotten everything attached, I'm going to go ahead and cut these ends of these cable ties off, and I'm going to begin to fluff these out. But while I was fluffing these out, I noticed they do have bare spots. So I'm going to take some of these pine branches that I had purchased from Hobby Lobby. You can also get these from the Dollar Tree. My Dollar Tree didn't have any, so I got these from Hobby Lobby. $2.99, but of course 50% off, so it's $1.50 for a pack. I'm just going to go ahead and basically twist tie these wherever I see bare spots. Not only where I see bare spots, but wherever I may want to add a little bit of length, a little bit more length to the branches, that's exactly what I am going to do. And might I add that I absolutely love how the 2 different greens really complement each other. So now this is what my door swag looks like so far, now that I have added my other branch pieces. Now to go ahead and tie off, or to hide the top portion where our trees are actually attached, I again am going to first of all take one of my branches and I'm going to make a hanging apparatus by looping it underneath that top cable tie, making a loop, tying that off with its own branches. Then to cover the excess or the rest of that middle piece and the actual cable tie, I'm just going to take a couple of those branches and just wrap it around. Once this is done, I'm going to set this aside, and now I'm going to start on my bow. I picked up these two different ribbons from Walmart. Walmart has a really great selection this year in not only ribbon, but also in picks, and also other various decorations. So to show you how I'm going to do my bow, this is just the way I do it. I'm going to start off, of course, by cutting off a couple of pieces of wire. I cut off two because I was going to show you another way, but then I decided to show you an easier way. So to start off with my bow, I am determining how large I want my loops to be. You see, I compared it to my swag. Now that I have determined how large or long I want my loops to be, now I'm going to go ahead and start forming my bow. I have formed my first loop, I formed my second loop, twist my ribbon, and I formed the other loops. I know it's going kind of fast, but I'm going to show you again how to do that. The reason that I like to do this particular method of bow making is, for me, it makes it easier to fluff out this ribbon, and it also allows it to just look more full. That's just in my eye though. So once I have gotten all my loops, I've gotten 4 loops on each side, I pulled out enough ribbon to make a bow tail. Then what I've done is just simply, I'm going to gather everything in the middle, pinch it in the middle, take a cable tie again, and just tighten this up in the very middle. And I'm using a cable tie because if you wanted to, you can always just take this cable tie, cut it, and reuse this ribbon for something else. But before I completely tightened up my cable tie, what I did was went ahead and put a bit of wire underneath it and then continue to tighten it. And that wire will allow us to attach it to our door swag. So I'm going to show you again how I made this ribbon. Now, some people make bows where they take the loops, and instead of twisting it, they just wrap it over itself like so, like I'm demonstrating. Me personally, I don't care for that technique, but if that's how you do it, that's totally up to you. That does not mean that you're wrong in doing so. This is just how I like to do mine. So again, I have made my first loop, I form my second loop, twist, go ahead and proceed to form my third loop, twist, form my fourth loop, twist, and continue to do so until I have the amount of loops that I want on each side of my bow. I cut enough length of ribbon for my bow tail. Then again, I'm going to bring in, this time, I'm going to bring in another piece of wire because I am going to actually glue or hot glue this particular bow in the middle of the bow that we just made. And as always, for me, to finish off my bow tails, I'm just going to go ahead and dovetail these by folding that ribbon in half and cutting in an upward motion. Where the 2 pieces of wire meet, you cut up at an angle. There are other tutorials on YouTube for bow making where you just take both of your ribbon styles or designs and you just completely make the bow with both of them at the same time. Me personally, again, I didn't want to do that today, so this is just how I chose to do so. Once I have everything pulled apart for this first bow, now I'm going to pull everything apart on the second bow. And after I have everything pulled apart, I'm just going to put a nice dollop of glue on the back of it where it meets to tie up everything, and plop that right in the middle. And I'm going to allow that to set for just a moment. Then we will go ahead and attach this to our door swag. And to attach this to our door swag, what we will do is take both ends of that wire that we looped or fed in underneath that cable tie, and then we'll just go in between a few branches and begin to just wrap it or tie it in the back, and then just take the excess ribbon. You can cut it off or just intertwine it with the other branches, just like you see me doing here. So now that this is done, now comes my favorite part, and that is actually decorating this door swag. Now, to decorate mine, I'm using a combination of picks that I found from Walmart. And again, these cost me 98 cents. Love, love, love these. I love how they have that glittery frocked look, but not too heavily frocked. And I'm also going to use some pieces from the Dollar Tree. This piece I'm showing you now is what I got from Hobby Lobby. It cost $12, but at 50% off, of course, it costs $6. Now, I will say, if I was going to use this door swag inside of my home, I would definitely use my stuff or my things from Hobby Lobby. Now, to begin to decorate this, what I am doing is I like to place things in odd numbers. But before I hot glue anything, I like to place it, make sure that's where it needs to be, and then I go back and I hot glue it. Now, there is no rhyme or reason in how to decorate. You have to decorate according to your own personal taste and according to your own, let's say, designer eye. One thing that I did notice as I began to place some of these picks in, I noticed that if the stem of the pick is long enough and thick enough, you can actually just stick it in between some of these branches, in between some of the spaces where these trees are attached together with the cable ties, and it is in there really nice and snug and really secure. However, I humbly suggest, if you are going to make a design like this and you are making it to sell, you really should, in my opinion, go ahead and glue everything together so that your customer, your client, has no worries of anything falling out. Now, I was going to stop here, but then I realized that I was missing a certain bit of wispiness, so to speak. And when I say wispiness, it's like those fine lines that you would see in a floral design. And I'll show you that in just a minute what I mean. So with these picks, what I'm doing really is, of course, decorating it, but I'm also going to go ahead and fill in some of those areas that need to be filled in. As you can see, I'm showing you where there's too much green, I'm adding some red to it. If it looks like it's really bland, you're going to add a little bit of spice. And of course, I'm going to do so with red. If you don't want to use these particular colors, feel free to use whatever colors you are using for this holiday season. Now, this is part of the key to making your design look very boutique, fresh, so to speak, and also very high end. Making sure that it is nice and full, making sure that there are no spots that can be seen, that any of your foundations, I'll put it like that, can really be seen. Make it nice, full, lavish, and very lush. So these particular branches that I'm sticking in now, these did come from the Dollar Tree. These are cedar branches with a bit of that glitter. Now, this is what I mean by the wispiness that I am adding to this particular design. You can see how the ends of the cedar branches are very fine lined as opposed to what the pine branches that we have in this design are more bulky, so to speak. So here I'm just adding Again, a bit of that wispiness to it, because to me, this is really going to finish up this design. And again, it's going to give it a very high end, very boutique friendly look. Now, if you wanted to add some Christmas bulbs, you could do so, or ornaments, but I am going to take this to the next level. And what I'm doing is I'm going to take 3 of these jingle bells that I picked up from Dollar Tree, the larger jingle bells. They come in a pack of 6. What I am going to do is take some of this thick jute twine, or thicker jute twine that I picked up from Walmart. I'm going to cut off a nice length of it. I'm going to take some of my hot glue, put it on the end just so I can thread it underneath the top portion of that jingle bell. Put a knot in it, and then I'm going to do all 3 of them. Now, when I do all 3 of them, you see how I have them in a staggered formation. Now, to go ahead and attach these, I'm going to take another piece of that jute cord or jute twine, and what I'm going to do is just simply put a bit of hot glue on it and just go ahead and proceed in wrapping the top. Again, this is an extra step that is really going to take this project to the next level and make it look high end. It doesn't look like you purchased that you made this at home. It looks like you made this bought this out of Kirkland's or Hobby Lobby. So once all 3 of these pieces have been attached together, what I'm going to do is just take those loose ends, go in underneath my bow, and I am going to find 2 pieces of that twine that we have that are still loose. Just wrap it around the stems of our tree, tie it into a knot in the back, and it's attached to our piece. So once this is attached to it, it is completely done. So what I'm going to do is fluff this bow out, make sure everything is in place, and show you how it looks. You guys, I cannot be more happy with this door swag. I think this looks very boutique friendly. It looks very high end. It does not look like I made this at home. It's very full, very luscious, and it's very practical because when you open the door, those jingle bells are going to ring. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's video as much as I have enjoyed bringing it to you. I humbly ask that you would stay tuned for the next few videos in this festive holiday series, as I do have a lot that I will be bringing to you. Well, as always, my prayer for you is that you continue to stay blessed, that you continue to stay healthy. In this holiday season, remember why you are celebrating it. Until next time, be blessed in Jesus' name.